Mention off-roaders and the first thing that pops into your mind is probably a Jeep or a Land Rover. But in China, there's a whole different world of off-roaders there these days, and one of the most popular one, the Tank 300, is now here in Malaysia. Now, judging by all of your reactions online, it's clear that you all have a lot of questions about this thing. So in today's video, we're going to be going through and answering all of your burning questions to hopefully help you see if this is the right car for you. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The first and the most obvious question that we've been asked is, what in the world is the Tank 300 exactly? Because it looks like an off-roader, but it also has an interior like this. Well, if you ask GWM, they'll tell you that this here is a luxury off-roader. And as much as that sounds like a cop-out answer, I think they got it pretty spot on. But there's actually a reason why the Tank 300 is like this. And it starts all the way back in 2020. Well, you see, the Tank 300 was originally launched under the Way brand, which is GWM's sub-brand for their premium and luxury vehicles. It was only in 2021 when they launched the Tank 500 that they decided to spin the whole thing off into its own Tank separate sub-brand, focusing on more of the off-roading stuff. So yes, it is supposed to be a luxury SUV first and foremost, but I think they've got the recipe just right, because in China, for every 2 off-roaders, one of them is a Tank. And in fact, the Tank brand has sold over 500,000 cars worldwide, and the Tank 300 is number 2 in the sales chart. So what exactly makes the Tank 300 so popular? Well, if you ask me, I think it's the looks, because the boxy silhouette, the large oval fenders and the chunky bumpers all just scream off-road style to me. And these bumpers over here, well, these are the real deal heavy duty stuff with a metal backing underneath it so that you know that you'll handle all of the abuse that you can throw at it. But the one thing that I really like about this car is actually its lights, particularly this ones at the back here, because it's just a nice contrast with the slim LED signature here, giving a nice accent to this boxy old school kind of look. And yeah, I think it looks really nice on here. Now you may say that they've taken perhaps a little bit too much inspiration from the Ford Bronco, and yeah, I'll give you that one. But to be fair to them, well, there's only so many ways that you can style a boxy SUV, and as a whole package, I think they've done a really nice job. Oh, and by the way, remember they call this a luxury off-roader? Off-road looks, luxury tyres. Now this car is priced at 250,000 ringgit. So naturally your next question will be, is it even worth 250,000? Because at that price, this is actually one of the most expensive Chinese car to come into Malaysia. Well, if you ask me, I think this interior here definitely looks 250,000. Well, actually maybe more like ringgit 1 million, because tell me this isn't the G-Wagon. Now I'm only kidding, but it's clear that they've taken quite a lot of ideas from the OG boxy off-roader. The good news is, not only does it look expensive, it also feels pretty luxurious as well, with these soft touch materials on the dashboard topper, the nice pattern on the door cards, the super soft armrests, and even the action to open and close the air vents feel very nice too. And that's not all, because it's also jam-packed with premium grade features. These seats, for example, the driver gets 8-way power adjustability with extra 4-way of lumbar adjustments. Yes, the passenger only has a 4-way power adjustment, but both of these comes with seat ventilation as standard, and the driver even gets a massage function. There's also the twin 12.3-inch screens up here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity on the center infotainment display, a sunroof up top, wireless charging pad, and a 64-color ambient lighting system. Now these speakers here, they are branded as Infinity, which is not a brand that we often hear of here in Malaysia, but they are actually from the same company as Harman Kardon and Bang & Olufsen, and I have to say that they actually sound really good. And nothing shouts premium more than an actual physical clock up here on the dashboard. Now, as nice as all of those sound and look, I actually do have a bone to pick here, and it's this damn screen. Now, to be fair, it's actually very high resolution, and for the most part, it's actually very snappy to use as well. But it's just that small little details that they lack to make it feel really perfect, like there's no home button anywhere to be found. So for example, if you're using Google Maps on Apple CarPlay and you want to turn on your seat ventilation system, to do that, you really have to click here on the home button, scroll around to find the other home button, and then scroll around again to find your ventilation system, and then you can only turn on your seat ventilation. It's just too many steps. It's just lacking that small little bit of polish to really put this car side by side against all of the other premium options. But at the end of the day, with all of these features and equipment, if you ask me if this is worth 250,000, I say yeah. But luxury is nothing if you can't actually use the car. So is the Tank 300 spacious? Well, if by spacious you mean you can carry 3 adults at the back, well then 100%. Because the Tank 300 is actually quite a big car, so you do get quite a lot of room at the back there with good shoulder width, good knee room, good leg room, and even good headroom as well since it's such a tall car. But there's also another form of spaciousness, and that's in its storage space. And on the Tank 300, it's actually pretty not bad, with a huge compartment here underneath the armrest that even comes with aircon, as well as a sliding compartment for all of your loose items. There's a huge glove box down here, and the door bins are also pretty big. But the one unique feature on the Tank 300 is actually this small sliding box beside the steering wheel for you to keep your parking cards or touch and go. Now, in terms of boot space, it's not exactly the biggest in its class with just about 400 litres of space, but it should still be enough space to bring along all of your glamping gears. Now, on that note, the coolest part about this boot is actually the boot floor, because it can also double as a table with the legs stored neatly down there. So that's one less thing for you to bring on your trips. For such a big car, the Tank 300 only uses a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine. So obviously many of you are wondering if that is actually enough for this car. 220 horsepower and 280 Nm of torque don't really sound like much, especially for a car that weighs over 2.1 tons. But in our day-to-day driving, I really don't think that it's anywhere near underpowered. In fact, in our casual testing, we've been able to consistently hit the 0 to 100 sprint times all under 9 seconds. And for such a big car, I think that is actually pretty awesome. Now, it is a petrol engine instead of the diesel mill that you'll usually find in competitors in this segment, which means it does have a lower torque output, so it is a little bit less punchy, especially in the low-speed stop-and-go traffic. But when you really do put your foot down, it does actually still pull pretty nicely. So overtaking on the highways really is no issue at all. Even the fuel consumption on here is pretty decent as well. Now, I've been driving this car for about a week now, and I've been averaging a fuel efficiency of between 10 to 12 litres per 100 km. Now, for such a heavy car, that is honestly not bad at all. And the best part is, for now at least, you don't have to pay for the pricey diesel. I mean, honestly, I don't think you'll find much to complain about in terms of powertrain here. Now, in general, off-roaders aren't the most comfortable things to be driving around on road because their suspensions are designed for heavy-duty use. But GWM calls this a luxury off-roader. So, is it even comfortable enough to be luxury? Honestly, I've been genuinely surprised at how plush this thing is to drive around. The suspension is actually really soft and pliant, so it does ride over all of the road undulations or uneven surfaces really nicely. And when you pair it to the smooth powertrain and the light steering wheel, it actually is really easy and effortless to be driving this thing around, be it on the highways or even on the busy city streets. And since it's also a rugged off-roader, I've honestly been less worried about just curbing my wheels or scratching my bodywork. Not like I've scratched the car yet. Adding to the luxury is the fact that it is actually really quiet in here, especially in terms of tyre noise, road noise and engine noise. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that they are using double glazed glass on the front windscreen as well as the front windows. And of course, this being a petrol engine also means that there's less of that rattling noise that you hear on diesel engines. As for wind noise, well, it does pick up a little bit at highway speeds. Well, it is what it is. This has a very upright front windscreen, but to be honest, I don't think it's actually all that bad. And to live up to its luxury name, it's also got a long list of advanced driver assistance features, including adaptive cruise control, lane centering assist, lane change assist, and even something called Wisdom Dodge that automatically distances itself from large lorries on the road. All of that really do take away the edge when it comes to driving such a big car, and you can really just sit back, relax, listen to your own music, and really just soak in all of this creature comfort inside the cabin. Now, I do really suggest you turning off the emergency lane keeping assist though, because it is very sensitive. Just too bad it doesn't actually stay off when you turn off the engine. But what is it like to actually drive this thing? Well, it is a tall, heavy SUV, so you do have to expect quite a bit of body roll, but really it's honestly not even that bad for what it is, and the Tank 300 really does handle pretty well. For starters, the body roll feels very natural when you're just swaying side to side or even front and back. And then there's the steering, which is on the lighter side of things, but it still feels really sharp. There's not much of a dead zone in the middle of the steering, and at the same time, it's also not frantic. So turning the wheel actually feels really direct, and you won't get caught out when you need to do a sudden direction change. Now, all of this is to say that you definitely won't be disappointed if you're only driving the Tank 300 on the roads. But can it actually go off-road? Well, we've come out to M4 track here in Seminole to find out. First things first, the basics. Like all proper off-roaders, this Tank 300 is also built on a leather frame chassis so that you know that it's properly rugged to take on all sorts of punishments from harsh conditions like this. And then there's the bash plate for more underbody protection, and then the 33-degree approach angle and 34-degree depart angle. And just how convenient it is that we have a hill right behind us for us to test it out. In addition to all of my clearances, this car also has a lot of electronic smarts to help me go off-road. So for now, I'm going to turn my 4-wheel drive mode into 4-low, and I'm also going to change my driving mode into mountain so I can fine-tune my traction going up that hill. This first hill is a bit easier, so just gentle on the throttle, going up, effortless. And now going downhill, I can also turn on the crawl control mode, which is essentially cruise control for off-roading. So it's basically control my speed. No foot on the brake, the car just glides itself down. Simple as that. Now the second hill is a bit more steep, so I'm gonna throttle in a bit more. And we're through. For our next challenge, this is something called the frame twister. So basically, we want to check out the suspension articulation as well as the rigidity of the frame itself. So all you have to do is line up straight and just go for it slowly. Up one side and down. Well, we're stuck, but that's the perfect opportunity for me to show off the individually selected rear diff lock. Really, is just a click of a button and I can just gently lay on the accelerator, check that out, and I'm through. Get out of trouble with just a press of the button. One feature that I actually find really convenient on this car to go off-roading is the 360-degree camera. I mean, just check out how clear that image is. It really is like a second spotter to really help you get through narrow paths like this one over here. Easy, easy. And we're through. Now to get out of this place, it is a steep decline and then into a puddle of water. So it really is a test of multiple things, including my approach and depart angles, as well as the 800mm of water wading depth of this car. Alright, gentle turn and slowly, I'm gonna turn on the crawl control as well, just as an additional safeguard. Gently into the water. There we go. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Now that wasn't the deepest of waters. So to really check out the water wading depth of this car, we have to head on over there for the water wading test. But this is actually a very narrow path for me to turn around. Luckily, this car has something called tank turn, which essentially locks the rear inside wheel for me to pivot around a very narrow turning circle. All I have to do is to click on the crawl control button and then the tank turn button, and then lift off the brakes, turn the wheels, and it'll do everything by itself. Alright. Okay, I'm pivoting. I can feel that I'm pivoting, and we're through. Woohoo! Makes it so simple to do off-road. Now, for the water wading test, just gently into the water. This is actually really scary. Slowly, slowly. I can hear all the water sound just going around me, and we're through. Free car wash! Let me tell you, doing all this off-road stuff, it truly never gets old. Woohoo! This is so much fun! So, is the Tank 300 a true off-roader? Well, if all of that is still not enough to convince you, then I truly don't know what else will. But to me, the Tank 300 is also more than just an off-roader, because like the Jimny, it's also a lifestyle product or a statement piece. And if you're willing to shell out 200,000 for the Jimny 5-door, well then that extra 50,000 will truly get you a lot more car for your money. So what do you think? Is the Tank 300 the right car for you? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's review, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And don't forget to click on that bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. For more information on the GWM Tank 300, head on over to AutoBuzz.my.